If you're someone who has an idea for a talk, or maybe you even created your talk already, you might be wondering, well, what now? How do I get out there and start speaking? How do I promote myself as a speaker? How do I start getting speaking gigs? It's one thing to have that talk ready, but it's a whole other thing to actually start doing the talk, getting out there, delivering it, and finding speaking engagements that you want, places you want to speak to, and places where you can deliver this fantastic message that you created. So, how do you do that? What are the techniques for doing that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today with our guest on the Speaking Your Brand podcast, Elaine Schomburg-LaFleur. And so let me start by just saying, if you're new to Speaking Your Brand, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. I'm Diane Diaz, and I am the marketing communications strategist and lead speaking coach at Speaking Your Brand. And today we're going to talk about all the actions and steps that you can take to take the talk that you've worked on, practice it, and get out there and start delivering it so that you can start making the impact that you want to make with your message. Now, our guest today, as I said, is Elaine Schomburg-LaFleur, and she is Senior Project Engineer at AOA here in Orlando. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about that and what she does at AOA. Now, Elaine worked with me in a VIP day way back in August of 2024 because she had a specific speaking engagement coming up. So we worked together, and then she attended our in-person speaking workshop where she was able to practice her storytelling, practice her messaging, practice her delivery. And so then that launched her on these additional speaking engagements that she's been doing, which we're going to hear about. So welcome, Elaine, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Diane. Glad to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited for our audience to hear from you. Now, you and I were chatting briefly. Well, we'll get into that in just a minute. Let me start by just saying, if you can just, I said you work at AOA, but you've actually had a long history somewhere else before that. So if you could take a short little bit and tell our audience what you do now and sort of what your background is and how you came to this work that you do.
Absolutely. So my background is engineering. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade that has used that to go more into the project management side to balance the technical and that idea of loving people and solving problems. So very excited. I've been in the theme park industry for over 22 years. I worked for Walt Disney World for many of those years, but recently have started, like you said, with AOA, which is a company that actually started from Disney to former Imagineers, started this small company that still brings these wonderful stories to life here and all around the world. So we get to partner with Disney and other theme parks, as well as museums, you name it. It's just, if you can think of a themed opportunity, that is what our team does when it comes to creating storytelling and the engineering and project management side, which is ties so well into what you do as well, as teaching us how to tell stories, whether those are through the projects that you create and or through speeches that you give.
Well, that's such a great point. You're so right, because I was looking at the website for AOA and I saw that it had been started by former Disney Imagineers and that it was really about building experiences.
Yes,
And so that's what we do when we speak, right? We are building
absolutely.
experience, we're telling a story. And so, I mean, that's interesting. Your job is storytelling basically through an engineering lens, right? Creating that experience. But also, when you're a speaker, your job is storytelling, creating experience for the audience. So I know back in August of 2024, you had reached out for a talk that you had coming up.
Mhm.
So what was your speaking experience and we'll talk about working together then, but what was your speaking experience before we worked together in that VIP day?
So before that VIP day, I had given more of your short type of talks, somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes on very topics that I know really well, etc. And when I reached out to you, it was because I got my first opportunity to do a keynote. And so I was taking this 15 to 20-minute thing that I do to an hour. And it was quite the jump in time, as well as the jump in the amount of people who were going to be attending. And I really wanted some advice from you on how to take what I know and turn that into an actual keynote. And that session with you was amazing. You really helped me first get out of my head when it comes to always just having to bring tips, right? Like, I'm the tip girl. Let me share all the things I've learned in my 22 years. And you've taught me how to put those into the speech so they're there. But with that comes the storytelling. And what was so funny is I do that so often, but I had kind of lost that idea of needing to bring that storytelling aspect, that beginning, middle, and end throughout everything, especially during an entire hour presentation, and really appreciate what you helped me create. And just the confidence that I had going into that speech was wonderful. And then once I did that, then I just got the bug of I need to continue doing this more. And so I appreciate that because that was the gateway into
Yeah,
doing more.
like a gateway drug to speaking,
It
right?
is.
Yes. It's so funny. Like I did notice that once you did that talk, and then of course we'll talk about the workshop you came to, but I noticed you kind of got that bug of speaking. So
Yes.
we are the gateway. If you work with us, we're going to push you to do more things, get out there more, and like we were talking about before we started recording, actually pitching yourself to speak, which we'll touch on that more in a little bit. But I love too that you mentioned that had kind of been sort of like the tip girl. And so that's that expert trap that we talk about, right? Where you get
Totally.
stuck just sharing tips and all your expertise. But also you forget, like, as you said, your job is storytelling in the engineering work that you do. And so but we don't realize sometimes we can't use our superpower on ourselves. So we forget, like, oh, we actually do this in our work, but then how do we translate that to a talk? Right. And
Absolutely.
so that's where, when we worked in the VIP day, I remember you sharing some of your amazing Disney stories with me and projects you had worked on that, of course. So just for background for everyone listening, Elaine and I both live in the Orlando area. And so I've lived here for a long time. And so I'm extremely familiar with Disney, as is anyone who lives here. And so as we were working together and you were sharing your stories with me about these different projects you worked on, these are things that are familiar to me. And so hearing kind of the background of these things and your involvement in them and the power of those stories. And I believe the talk you were going to give, that keynote talk, was to a group of young women engineers in college. Is that correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Yes. And yeah, so the whole goal was to sort of let them see what's possible, inspire them, show them where they might be headed in their career. And that's what we ended up with, is these amazing stories of these projects you had worked on. And so, I love that storytelling aspect, because then when you came to the workshop, that was an opportunity to actually practice those things. So, well, let me ask first though, when you delivered that talk, how was it received by that audience of young women, soon to be engineers?
I've made so many good contacts and friends through that. I love
Oh,
all of them
good.
reaching out that are taking some of those stories and applying that, feeling empowered themselves
Oh,
in the future
great.
that they can do in this industry. You and I had talked that my love of talking to fellow women in engineering comes from the fact that here I've been in this industry over, like we talked, over 22 years, and we're still less than 20%
Woo.
of the
Yeah.
industry. And so I appreciate you helping me, because I want to keep encouraging and empowering people so they see it. It's hard to be what you can't see, and so we get out there to kind of inspire and encourage. And I think what I was able to do was reach that group and just continue to reach others to say we can make a difference in this industry.
Yes, I love that. That just reminds me of something that just experience I just had recently, where I attended a scholarship social for a group that I'm a part of, and one of the young women receiving one of the scholarships was she's studying aerospace engineering and wants to be, I believe she told me she wants to be a test pilot and then a commercial pilot. And then she's already done all of these internships all over the country in things related to aerospace engineering. And I was really blown away by that. But the conversation I had with her was to that point of the fact that it's a very male dominated industry. And so as a woman in engineering, you have all these opportunities, but also, of course, then you've got to, work that much harder. But getting your voice out there, being seen, having the visibility. And so hearing from women like you who've been in the industry for a long time, for these young women to hear from someone like that, I think is so empowering, because like you said, you can't be what you can't see. But when they see it, they're
Exactly.
like, Oh, maybe they have never thought about working at a theme park. Maybe that's never occurred to them. But so there's
Right.
those opportunities. So that's how important, and for everyone listening, regardless of the industry you're in, that is how important your message is,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. And being able to show and guide and show that there's ways to show empathy in any type of industry. So absolutely.
Yes,
Empathy and
yes.
storytelling.
Yes, exactly. And I'm so glad that you were bitten by that bug because then you attended our in-person speaking workshop where that was an opportunity in an in-person setting with, I think we had about 13 or 14 other women there. And then it was a whole day workshop where we gave hands-on feedback. So there's an opportunity for you to get on the stage, tell your story, share a story, get feedback from myself and Carol, giving you feedback on not just the delivery, but also the stage presence, use of the stage, your body language, all of those things to make the story as impactful for the audience as possible so that it can really create the impact you want to create with your message through that story. Tell us about that experience in the workshop, what it was like, what you walked away with it, what you walked away from it with.
I encourage people to attend these. To me, it was so nice to hear so many different voices and to remind myself that there's many ways to give presentations. Some people do humor really well. Some people don't feel authentic in doing the humor approach. And I really love that you work through different techniques that helped you think through what feels authentic to you, what feels like it's going to get your message across, and getting to hear all these different women give those different perspectives and hear that and hear their story and hear why they're up there and just getting to take little bits from them like, ooh, that works for them. I love that. Or, ooh, I could do that too. And it helped me kind of tweak and become stronger just by being around them and or just getting some of the accolades from them as well. Like, oh, that was a fantastic story. And sometimes you just need that reminder of you're helping others just as much as they're helping you in this day workshop.
Yeah, that's such a good point because when you're practicing your talk in front of a mirror to yourself, right, you don't have the feedback of someone
True.
else saying, "Oh my gosh, that really made an impact on me." And I do remember on that day, all of the women there, you and everyone else, when they would get up to tell their story, so many of the other people in the audience were moved by it or reminded of some experience they had, or, just gave some piece of feedback that was just like, oh, this was really meaningful when you said this. And it is a great opportunity to get validation
Yes.
for the story, validation for, the way you're delivering it, and also tips for making it stronger. But also, I love the point you made about the fact that everyone has a different speaking style, right? You might be a more reserved speaker where someone else is more boisterous. Someone else might use humor. Another person might, like you said, not be comfortable with humor in that way. And so everyone can use their own unique speaking style. And we saw that on that day. We saw many different styles of speaking, all of them
Yeah.
amazing. But then it's just amplifying whatever your natural style is to make it as powerful as possible for the audience.
Absolutely. And I love that you balance pushing us out of our comfort zone
Yes.
with the idea of still being authentic. And it's
Yes.
it's a perfect day for that to where you make us get up and do some improv things,
Yeah, oh,
which for
yes.
introvert engineers like myself, you make that a little challenging, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And all the while, like you said, just being able to encourage each other and know that we're making a difference together and becoming stronger when you leave that day, that session.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good point about pushing you outside your comfort zone because, on that day we want you to try some new things that maybe you've never tried before. And to full disclosure, Carol and I, we love what improv can do for someone who is a speaker. We don't love improv per se because we are both not very good at it. And I'm not speaking out of turn. Sure Carol would admit to that as well. I love to hate improv. But with that said, I do recognize the skills that I've taken from having taken an improv class and those exercises that we do during these workshops where Carol and I also participate them, even though we aren't good at it, but it does get you outside your comfort zone. Forces you to think outside the box of what you think is possible. It gets you into your body because you're moving around on the stage. And so that's one thing I love about these workshops is, we can tell people, Carol and I can get in the expert trap, right? And tell people all these tips. Instead, what we do is we get in a room with the women that attend, have them practice these things so they can feel it for themselves. So instead of us just telling, they're actually doing. And then they
Absolutely.
experience the power of being in a room with other women, getting that feedback, getting the validation, doing the exercises, moving on the stage. And there's some, I think you saw that day too, some really big breakthroughs that happen
Yes, very
in
much
that
so.
day. Yeah.
And
And
you get to celebrate with them on that, and it's so
yeah.
much fun. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, we laugh, we cry, we dance, we have fun, we get serious, we get silly, we do all the things. And it's just the one thing that I love the most about it is seeing everyone in the beginning be a little reserved and timid and watching them just, it sounds so cliche, but literally blossom before our eyes
Absolutely.
to the end of the day where they're on the stage with power telling this story. It is incredible.
I've connected with a bunch of the ladies who were in that
Oh,
session
good.
through LinkedIn. We stay in touch. We encourage each other. It's so much fun to get comments from them or to be able to comment
Yeah.
on their stuff on LinkedIn and see them taking what they learned from that day and applying it. It is so the word encouraging just doesn't give
Yeah.
enough to show what you get out of that day. It's more than just a day. It's building your own confidence. It's getting out of perfectionism, and
Oh,
it's
yes.
making connections that are so special.
Yeah, that's a great point about getting out of perfectionism. I think that's one thing that we're all probably guilty of is trying to make the talk perfect before we can go deliver it. But we know that you have to deliver it in order to be able to perfect it, right? And to be able to make it better. Now, Elaine, I'm curious, were you coming into that workshop, were you nervous, unsure, not like what were you feeling like coming into it? And then what was it like at the end?
I was definitely nervous,
Mhm.
especially being around some people who have a lot more experience,
Mm,
and those who have given bigger talks,
yeah,
done things for getting paid for some of those things as well, which
sure.
you're encouraging us to do. So a little bit nervous coming in, but I think what you helped us see is what each of us brings and what each of us is in, and what you're going to get out of that is so valuable. And I think, like you said, those sessions of just loosening up, getting to know each other, bonding, getting to hear what other people are trying to work on themselves and being able to be encouraging and help, or even ask, like, okay, how could I work on this? How could I get this story across without emotions coming through? Things like that, where
Mhm.
we started just forming this effort of helping each other, and it was so uplifting. And like you said, it from the moment through lunch through the end of the day, it was just I didn't want to leave. Like I just wanted to stay
Yes, I
stay
know.
around and be encouraged and like, wait, I got so much energy. How do we how do we keep this going?
Oh, I know it's such a fun day, and it's fun for me and Carol as well. And we don't want to leave either because it is so much fun. And the bonds that everyone forms during that day, you can see those kind of happen before your eyes as well, which is so lovely to see. And if we need anything in this world, it's people supporting each other more, right? And so
Sure.
seeing professionals and women supporting each other on LinkedIn, we watch that too. Like we see you all connecting with each other. We love to see that. Um, okay, so I've been following you on LinkedIn, of course, and I've seen you posting about other talks you've been giving. So I've noticed you have been bitten by the speaking bug and that you've been
Yeah.
speaking more. Can you share a little bit about some of the speaking engagements you've had since that last talk that you gave where we worked together? Like where have you been speaking? What has been the topic? What has it been like?
No, I appreciate it because you helped us think through how to reach out more and encouraging us to
Mhm.
do that more. And I had kind of stayed in my colleges,
Mm.
especially the University of Central Florida, things here that I'm happy to support, will always support. But I appreciate that you helped us try to branch out. I found this whole group called Empowering Women, which is
Yes.
wonderful, and being able to reach out and apply and get selected to speak there was
Yeah.
an amazing thing. And then even the stuff when you get rejected, I think you've really
Mhm.
helped us build resilience through that.
Mm.
So like for instance, I had applied to the Society of Engineers, the big conference that happens in October, and I didn't get selected.
Mhm.
um, but what I took from that was Carol gives lots of great tips on how to use AI, and
Yes.
I've learned from her for doing that. So I took some of the sections that were selected, copied those in, and saying, hey, that here's the topics I like to talk about. Here's the topics that were selected. What are some of the things that I could do that maybe change up the title or change up the content that
Mm,
stay authentic to
mhm.
me, but seems to be what they're looking for at this
Yes.
event? And that helped me get selected for a local. So it wasn't necessarily getting the
Oh,
big one, but I got selected to talk at a local one, which was
wonderful.
exciting. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate all the tips that she does to stay resilient. Don't take the no. What do you learn from it? And
Yes.
and how you can build and change, still being authentic to you, but change to make sure you're hitting the content that's important for those sessions.
Oh, that's so exciting. I love to hear that you're using AI to help you with that. Yay. We love that. I think as speakers, we need to use whatever tools are available to us to help us, craft a pitch or refine the pitch, or
Mhm.
like you did, like look for where can I improve upon this to maybe submit to this other speaking gig or conference or whatever. And I mean, that's very smart and obviously very effective. So now you got chosen for another talk, which is
Exactly.
great.
Mhm.
Love that. And what is that talk going to be on? Or have you given
So
it already?
nope, that's okay. So basically, what it's able to do on this case, it's taking a political look at how to stay
Hmm.
authentic to you
Hmm.
and some of the political challenges. So very excited about it.
That's exciting. Wow. I love you're also doing a nice job of taking your core message and sort of massaging it into
Yes,
other realms, which that's another thing that we like to see happen
absolutely.
because, you don't have to just speak to like the one type of audience all the time with the exact same message. You can modify the message, change it, which is the great benefit of using the signature talk framework that we use, because then you can pull some of the same stories, massage it into a different main message for a different audience. So well done. I
Thank you.
love to
Thank you.
see
Thank you
that.
guys for
Well,
empowering
of
me for that.
course, we're doing all the hard work, but I absolutely love to see that. Now, um, what so how have most of your speaking opportunities come to you? Have they reached out to you? Have you been pitching to different conferences? How have those come about?
I've actually gotten it both ways, which is kind of fun.
Oh, nice.
Uh, I will say, still most of it is me putting myself out there and
Sure.
trying. But I did have somebody reach out to me recently for an opportunity to speak in
Oh,
September, and it was
oh,
so exciting
wow.
to have somebody reach out to me and say, "I heard you speak
Nice.
at the local conference for
Love
SWE.
it.
Loved your topic. Would you mind coming in and sharing that same thing?" And so it's going to be fun to see how that continues to grow as the
Yes.
opportunities continue to grow.
Yes, well, and you're very good about posting these things on LinkedIn, which I think helps in your visibility. And so to everyone listening to this, as you're speaking, post about these events, post about when it's coming up, post after it, as it's happening, post after it happens, because this is how we build visibility for our speaker brand, right? Like you have the Elaine, the engineer brand, but you also have Elaine, the speaker brand, right? And so
Absolutely.
you are very good about posting content on LinkedIn that demonstrates that you are a speaker.
Absolutely. And that's how that person reached out to me was through LinkedIn. And
Oh,
so
look at that.
even those small tips that you and Carol give, like just
Yes.
how to kind of go into your title and just make sure that that's out there. Like you said, here's some snippets, here's some photos of me out here, here's me, and some of the people who I'm talking to that I'm inspiring. That matters. And
Yes.
so utilize that LinkedIn and those connections.
Yes. Yes. Good. I love that. You're absolutely right. I think LinkedIn is probably one of the most important platforms that we can use because it functions a little bit like a search engine as well. So when people, because it is a professional database, so to speak, and so when people are looking for someone to speak in a certain industry or on a certain topic, they can go there and search. And so make sure you have, and I'm saying this to everybody listening, of course, make sure you have speaker in your LinkedIn bio. Make sure you talk about speaking. Make sure you post about speaking, because again, that's how you build your speaker brand, so that people know you do this, they can count on you to do this well. So fantastic. And so tell me a little bit about from the time we worked together in last August in that VIP day, and then through now. And so we worked together, then you came to the workshop. Now you've actually been speaking. Tell me a little bit about how your how you feel like you've changed as a speaker.
I don't want to like say this over again, but I really do appreciate that. I think my message has gotten better, and by not just sitting there saying, "Here's your tips," and it came
Yes.
across very engineering, very here's the bullet
Mhm.
points. I've got out of the
Mm.
bullet points and more into the storytelling, and I think that
Mm.
leaves people more inspired on where they
Yeah.
can go. So I appreciate that you've helped me just tweak my message a lot better, which gives me more confidence when I'm up there. And then, like you said, we're just continuing to grow all those connections and allowing that to just reach a bigger audience, which is just so much more impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that you mentioned the storytelling component because that is we all, there's a bazillion more engineers, right? And so a lot of those tips will probably be similar to what someone else might share. But when you incorporate your story, so for you,
Exactly.
Elaine, these stories of having worked at Disney, not everybody has that story of being a Disney engineer who can share those types of stories to inspire an audience or show them possibilities in that field, or your personal stories with your career growth and trajectory. Those are yours. Those are very unique
Absolutely.
to you, but they have a universal message to them, which I'm sure you found to be the case, right?
Agreed. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree. And just those moments mean so much to me when I give a speech. I've got the
Yeah.
group that comes up to you afterwards that wants to talk, what their takeaways are. Are there just the connections on LinkedIn afterwards? When somebody tells you, here's what I've applied, here's what I'm
Oh,
going to
yes.
do. It's so rewarding.
Isn't it? And it's so validating too that, not only have you made an impact on them, but also, oh, what I have to say matters.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And knowing that it's given them inspiration and taking them, that's why we do what we do.
Yes, yes. And this is for everyone listening, this is the power, I think, of this community where we work in this workshop, and it's like a community for the day, but then it carries on after that. And there's just so much support for everything happening throughout the day, but particularly everyone's individual personal stories, because we share a lot of very personal stories during this day in an effort to find those stories that are going to make the best impact for the message. And I just love the way you can see kind of what your story does for your audience. You can see that happen during the day of that workshop. You can see it happen. So it's almost like a live example of the power of story right then and there. But that, just like you said, just gives you the confidence for then telling your story to the audience once you deliver your talk.
Agree.
Yeah, I love
I agree.
that.
No, I think you can't say that enough. More than four people from that session I still talk to on LinkedIn. Their stories matter
Yeah.
to me. The voice that they're trying to get
Yeah.
across. You can find what's similar in yours versus what
Mhm.
drives them, what's inspiring to them, and then just being able to encourage them to continue to get that message out has been just as fun for me.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Like that support of everyone
Yes.
really, really is so powerful, because we don't, can we do this alone? Maybe, but it's so much more effective when we have others supporting us, especially someone who's been at that workshop with you, seen you deliver the message, seen how powerful your story is, and then can give you the kudos, give you the encouragement, give you or even, share a resource with you in some way, shape, or form to help you, pitch to an organization or something. So that's the other thing about the workshop, is just the bonds that are formed is so
Great.
amazing for us to see happen.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah. Now, all right. So now you've been speaking, you're posting about it on LinkedIn. So what is next for you? You mentioned to me before we started recording, you mentioned that you actually have pitched for another speaking engagement. But in addition to that, tell us a little bit about that. And then in addition to that, what else is on the horizon for you in your speaking career?
I think I was telling you that you and Carol will always be like little voices in my head of where I've made a commitment to myself on each quarter how many people I'm going to at least reach out to
Oh,
and making sure that I'm meeting those goals for myself, not getting in my own head or
mhm.
being just concerned of it's not perfect, it's not the right time yet. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate that your voices are helping me drive and encouraging me to reach out more, because it sometimes just takes that to get the
Yeah.
yeses and be okay with the nos, because the yeses are
Hmm.
going to be so much more powerful when you get them. So
Hmm.
yes, you're in my head, and
Good.
you're you're encouraging me, and with that, I submitted over the weekend for another one, so I'll hear back in November, and looking forward to seeing if that's a yes as well.
Yay, exciting. And then do you have plans for any other pitching that you want to do for conferences or different speaking engagements?
I still need to grow that.
Yeah.
Right now, of course, it's the quarter of UCF, and so I've got a lot of time with them this quarter. I'm going as they're getting back into the season. The Society of Women Engineers there, I'll be doing a
Mm.
speech for them. The
Oh,
ASME, the
good.
Mechanical Engineering Group, I'll be doing something for them, which is near and dear to my heart, helping
Yes,
all of them grow, and just seeing them as they graduate and get out to be these brand new engineers out there.
I
So
love
this quarter
that.
is really focused on them,
Yes.
but also just continuing to apply to other things as well.
Oh, that's so exciting. I also love seeing, and this, a lot of the women that we work with do this, is they're supporting other up and coming women in whatever industry that they're in at colleges or in organizations like that. And I do that. Carol does that. And so we like to see that as well, because it's like inspiring those young women, not just in the career field that you're in, but also they see you speaking to them, but then they also will follow you on LinkedIn and see that you're speaking. And so hopefully they will want to use their voices as well. And so we're
Exactly.
role modeling, hopefully, what we
Exactly.
will see in them. And so more of us sharing our voices just has so much more power.
Great.
Yeah, I
Great.
love that. Well, Elaine, thank you so much for taking the time to share with the audience your experience working with us and also coming to the workshop and your experience with speaking and using your voice. I really appreciate you taking the time to tell us about that.
Well, thank you. And I can't thank you and Carol enough for helping me grow, helping me step out of my comfort zone, allowing me to meet other women who I get to help support and be a part of. Thank you for all you do for the women out there who have a lot of great stories to share. And thank you for empowering us.
Oh, well, it is truly our pleasure. All right. If you want to work on your talk and practice your delivery and storytelling with real time hands on feedback from me and from Carol Cox in a supportive environment of other women, join us for our in person speaking accelerator workshop taking place soon, October 30th. You can get all the details and register by visiting speakingyourbrand.com/Orlando. That again is speakingyourbrand.com/Orlando. Until next time, thanks for listening.